let's try this again. For a long time now, I've wanted to make another video about my take on feminism that wasn't saturated with sleep-deprived incoherence. Unfortunately, that seems to be the status quo, and I'm currently having a few minor issues with the sound on my computer, so here it goes anyway. Put simply, while I am all for equal rights for women, I don't feel comfortable labeling myself as a feminist for three main reasons. One, I refuse to resign myself to the role of perpetual victim. Two, I don't see men as the enemy. And three, I like the idea of being a stay-at-home mom. When it comes to the whole victim thing, think about it. How many so-called feminists do you find screeching about oppression, yet holding their hands out while begging for government scraps? Ladies, we're not oppressed. We're really, really not. I'm not talking about isolated cases of domestic abuse that do sadly enough occur, or the odd freak bosses that still pay their female employees a lesser wage for the same work. Yes, it happens. I'm not gonna lie. They're not the norm. Just look at the legislation we have that punishes anyone behaving in such a manner. There are numerous avenues available for anyone wishing to report such violations, such as the police or the Equal Opportunity Commission. When the system itself punishes such misogynistic behavior, I think it's safe to say that's not the way things usually work. Maybe it sounds harsh, but I believe that any woman that whines about the systemic oppression of women is either lazy, unwilling to do anything to change her situation, or stupid, willfully uninformed, or a misandrist simply looking for a leg up over her male competition. If you really are a strong, independent woman in charge of your destiny, why would you need the government to step in and pay for your birth control with our tax dollars when you can simply zip your pants up all by yourself? Your sex life isn't my business or anyone else's. It's your choice whether or not to be sexually active, so no one else should be compelled to pay for your choices. We have better and more important things to pay for than something ladies can control for themselves, unless you're implying women are too stupid or weak to handle themselves. And yes, I'm talking to you, Sandra Fluke. As for my second point, I like men. Just because they and I don't share the same genitalia doesn't mean I think we are naturally at odds. Yes, men and women are different, and not just under their shorts. Check out what WebMD has to say about the differences in male and female brain patterns. Anyone that has a problem with that has a problem with basic biology. Acknowledging that doesn't mean you believe either gender is inferior. A screwdriver isn't inferior to a hammer, but they were made for vastly different purposes. That doesn't mean you can't use a screwdriver handle to hammer in nails while building a bookshelf, but that does mean that there are probably more smashed fingers in your future. And yes, I speak as the voice of experience here. Before anyone gets wound up over my use of generalities, yes, I know that not all men and women are the same. We are all individuals with our own unique strengths, and that fact rocks. I just refuse to see men as the enemy or see them as worth any less than I am myself. And honestly, I get really tired of people putting down my dreams just because they don't share them. You know how it is when somebody continually pokes fun at what you want to do with your life. If you haven't started yet, you might rethink it even though you know it's what you really want, cutting off your dreams before they even get started. Or if you're already on the path you chose for yourself, you either start to feel very alone or even begin backtracking. When someone attacks the desires of your heart, it can feel like a knife in the gut. Now, I don't need anyone's approval, but when what I want most desperately is to be a stay-at-home, full-time mom, it gets discouraging to constantly hear only ignorant or lazy women would want something like that. I don't expect that my single-parent status will likely ever change, but I like to think that I'm not stupid. And since I work 40-plus hours every week, I fail to see how that qualifies as lazy. I do what needs to be done for my family. And what's wrong with that? Nothing. Ladies, don't let anyone put you down if your family is your world and you love your husband. Don't let anyone get to you for not minding cooking supper for him. And don't buy into the lie that Supermom down the street does more work than you do because she gets paid for it while her kids are in daycare. She may be doing what she needs to do for her family, but that doesn't mean what you do is any easier or worth any less. Not to mention her kids probably miss her a lot. If you work all the time, miss your kids, worry because you don't get enough time at home with the hubby, your home is a mess, and you admit that all of this stresses you, that doesn't mean you aren't doing enough or living up to your amazing girl power potential. It means that you're simply being honest about how thin you're really being spread. Like Bobo, you've started to feel like butter that has been scraped over too much bread. On a final note, something that I didn't cover in my 3 main points, I can't buy into feminism while most that espouse it advocate the wholesale slaughter of innocent human beings whose only crime was being inconvenient. Even in cases of rape or incest, abortion is punishing the victim of the crime for the actions of the perpetrator. Uncool doesn't even begin to describe it. So yeah, if feminism were just about women's equal rights, I'd be all for it. But it isn't, and I'm not. When it is, come talk to me. I'll be waiting. Goodbye for now, and may your home always be too small to hold all of your friends.